Here I want to share with you some simple side-to-side movement tricks that we can use to create effective transitions, known as the slide technique. And by the end of this video, you should be able to create something like this. As in with any video shoot or idea, the most important part is the prep stage, making sure you have all of your gear and equipment all charged up and ready to go, but making sure you have everything set up and placed in advance before you start taking the shots necessary to make this effect happen. For this, I've been using the Xeon Weebill 3S and Canon 850D setup, along with the Atmos Shinobi Ninja monitor that I have connected to the setup itself, just so I can get a better view of the screen, so I can see exactly more of what I'm supposed to do and how to do it as good as I can in the moment. Also, on a quick note to mention, when recording the footage, I recorded using 60 frames per second, so this will give me more to play around with in the edit. Now, your first couple of attempts are never going to truly be perfect. Let's just get that out of the way. And if anything, I'm trying to give the emphasis here that I'm coming at it from a complete beginner perspective, because essentially most of you watching this will be just starting out. So I want to try and give the idea that if I can do this, that anybody can do it, and it is possible. So when you have everything ready to go, it's a simple case of just getting in position, and as you can see here, I'm trying to position the monitor where I can actually see everything. So at this stage, what I'm doing is I'm picking a point of reference, so I'm using the headlights of my car and I'm using that to zoom in and out. As you can see here, I'm doing quick movements from side to side on both headlights, and I'm doing different variations from left to right or right to left, and I'm even doing different movements based off of the headlight itself, just so I have more ideas to do when I go to edit it later on. It just takes a bit of practice, because you'll find that when you're moving, especially with quick movements, that sometimes you can lose your balance or that the camera can go off center. So it just takes a bit of tricking around and just even faffing around to a degree until you get something that is usable. It's just trial and error really at this stage. So the best thing to do is not to think about it, just do what you can and try your best in the moment. So once I finish focusing on the headlights, I then want to move on to other parts of the car. So I then move on to one of the wheels, as I'm going to be also using that as a transition to go from the headlights literally through that point, and then to follow up with showing and revealing the full car itself. Again, it will take multiple tries just to get comfortable with the movements, and especially here because I do have limited room. This probably isn't the best setup to use in this scenario, especially when you are confined to such tight spaces, but you just work with what you have. Again, practice is key here. But once I finish with the wheel, then I just move on to revealing the full car. So I will take different snaps, either from exposing the car from above or below, just so I have different ideas to play around with in the edit later on. So for the editing stage, we're going to be using CapCut because it's free and it is fairly easy to get into for beginners. But the tips here can be done across all editing software. So the first thing you want to do is you want to find the folder that you have the video files recorded, and we're just going to drag and drop them into the timeline. From here, because I have everything pretty much on one piece of footage, we're just going to drag that to the timeline first. And then what you want to do is you want to scrub through the footage using the playhead and pretty much just look and see which is the best sequence that you can use out of all of the takes that you recorded. You'll pretty much see from there, and you'll know from the movement if it's good enough to use. So from there, all we have to do is just delete the point that we don't want, and then we will split the clip again, and then we will just move to the next point. Now as you can see here, I did move the clip at different points as well, so as I took multiple shots from different stages, like from left to right or right to left, so that I can use, we can pick and choose pretty much what you want. Like, the truth is you don't have to follow exactly what I'm doing to a degree, but if you've created multiple shots, you can literally just go to town with this and just play around with it and use shots that you think would be suitable. So all I'm going to do is just keep messing around until I've found something that I think is usable, and I'll just keep splitting the clips until I've gone through all of the ones that I actually want to keep, and then it's a case of going then on to the next phase, which is the wheels. So you only need a small part of this, because again, each transition part is going to be very, very quick. Even if you have to zoom into the timeline just to get more clarity onto the specific points that you want to capture itself. Now we can delete the rest of the clips that we don't want. So then we can just drag on the next clip, which will be revealing the entire car. So you want to just go through the same process again of just scrubbing through the footage until you've gotten a piece that you're happy enough with. So in this case, I moved the camera starting in the sky and then moving down, as you can see here, and then I even done a couple where it's coming from the bottom, from the ground. So you pick which one that you want to use the most. So I'll just use this one here. So we'll just zoom in on the timeline, and then all we're going to do is pretty much we're going to pick a point of reference at a specific keyframe, and then all we're going to do is just tidy it up, because this is where things are going to speed up. So once the playhead starts moving, that's where we're going to start speeding everything up. So if we want to pick a point here, and then we want to head over to the speed tab at the top, then click on the curve tab, and then you want to click on custom, and so here we can mess around with the speed ramp itself. So we can add in different points, or we can remove certain points if we need to. So this is going to be the bit that's probably the most trickiest to get right, because it will just take a lot of trial and error to get this. So this is where you'll be spending most of your time in the edit itself. So as you can see, it starts moving after a certain point, so you want to kind of just make sure that the playhead just is at a normal speed, and then when it starts to move, that's where we're going to start literally speeding things up. So you're going to pick on the next point, and we're going to gradually start to increase it all the way to a point that it's going to go to the highest duration possible. So it's just a case of just adjusting the points on the timeline, and then when you go back and play it, you'll see how fast it is. So you just have to keep adjusting and just playing with it just some more. And if you're happy enough with it, it's a simple case of just repeating the same steps then for the next set of clips as well. So again, we'll pick a point when the camera starts to move, and from there all we're going to literally do is just start gradually just increasing the speed until it reaches the top, and you just have to keep playing around with it. So you want to have a bit more of a flow to it. So it's just a case of just playing around with it until you get it. You just do that throughout all of the clips. Just do the same thing again. Find the point when the camera starts to move, and that's where we will enter in our speed ramp. Again, you can remove points or add them here if you need to as well. So with this final clip, it'll be slightly different, because the speed ramp will be coming in from the start rather than at the end, like what you've seen with the last of the clips. So what we need to do is again click on custom, and we're just going to pretty much reverse everything of what we did. So the top will start at the fastest speed, and then we're gradually just going to decrease the speed throughout the course of the map until we find something that we're happy enough with. So if we play through it again, like I said, a lot of trial and error is involved. You just have to play around with this, because it is tricky to get really good speed ramps. I'll be honest, when I first started doing this, I struggled with it as well, and I'm still learning a lot of aspects myself, so it is tricky. But if you do get it, you'll know rightly well there and then what's working and what isn't. But to add more emphasis on this here, which will help, so obviously we're going to remove the audio, so we want to make sure that all the clips are highlighted, and we just want to reduce the audio of everything just to make it better, because you don't want some of the background noises as much. But here's where things are going to get interesting, where we're going to add in some transitions and sound effects. So from the transitions tab, we want to use some form of effect that will help with the transition. In this case, I like this blur one. Now even with the free version of CapCut, you are limited to the transitions and even some of the features, because with every new update that CapCut generates, they're locking out more stuff, so you are fairly limited to what you can do. So you just have to work with what you have. But if you can find a transition that works, just use that. So in this case, you have this glitch effect here, which looks fairly well. So when we try that and we play it, you can see there it works and it looks decent. So then it's just a case of, if we're happy enough with that, we can just adjust it slightly until we're totally sure of it, and then we can just apply the same transition to all of the clips. So with the transition selected, you can come over to the side and click apply to all. So now if we play it again, as you can see there, it plays it quite decently to a degree, and it's very easy to do. Now in a lot of cases, what you can also do is that you can save the clip out from here, bring the clip into a new project, and even add in motion blur. So with the clip selected, you can scroll all the way down to the bottom of the video tab, and you'll see here motion blur. Now essentially, you don't really want to do this as much just with on a per clip basis. Often what happens is you're better off nearly taking the full clip, because the motion blur will kick in whenever there's movement, because CapCut has a really good detection element to it, that when motion is detected, that's where the effects will kick in. Now you could do it this way even with the clips in it, but it's just a bit more difficult. But it's easier just to save the project out, take the file and pop it into a new project and go from there, if that's something else that you want to add in. But what we also want to add in is we want to add some sound effects. So you want to come up to the audio library, click on sound effects, and we want to look for a whoosh sound effect. So you can play through a few of them and see which one you think will fit the scene. I think the top one works well, so we'll just add this one in here. So we'll just just have to adjust the clip. Even to make it more usable with the transition itself, we can adjust the speed of it. So if we have to, we can increase the duration, so you can click on the speed tab and we can totally adjust it. So if we want to even put it up to like say 3 or even 2.5, we can do that. So even if we have to, we can scroll through the timeline just to adjust the transition a bit more to make it easier for ourselves, so that when we play it now, the next thing we want to do is we want to copy the sound under each transition. So we can literally copy and paste it and paste on the timeline, or what you can do is you can hold down Alt on the keyboard with Windows and click it and drag, and then it will actually make a copy there and then of the piece that you want. And then it's just a simple case of just doing the same thing for each clip. Make sure that only the clip itself that you want to copy is highlighted. So now when we play it, so that definitely adds a lot more to it, but I think we can go a wee bit more, because even the transitions that we use, the glitch effect, it almost has like a static look to it. So even if we can find like a static sound, even like a static discharge, that one there sounds good, so we can add this one in as well. So we'll just also play around with this one here, and then we can adjust the speed. We can just snap it to wherever the other one is playing, and then it's just a case of then increasing the speed on this one as well. So I can say we can put it up to at least 2. We'll try this. Let me bring it down a wee bit. Yeah, that sounds a wee bit better. So it's just a simple case, do the same thing again, just click, hold on the Alt key, drag and copy, and there we go. So now if we play it, it doesn't sound too bad. So when you put it all together, it does come out fairly decently. Now you can add background music into it to add more emphasis to it, if that's what you want to do. Now there is a lot more that you can do here. You can add way more effects. You can literally go crazy with it. You can even lengthen the clip out if you want. Like when you look at the total size of this clip, it's just a little over 5 seconds, which isn't long at all. But it is really cool if you're wanting to do some form of transition just to keep people engaged. But the more you practice at it, the more that you can do. So even just to give you another idea of what we can do, you can even add in an adjustment layer on top of it, and we can also change like the color as well. So we can do like a little bit of like color correction or color grading. So you can even change the exposure, you can darken it, you can add more contrast, you can even reduce or decrease the saturation, even add in a bit more tint or even the temperature. So in this case I can just drop it a little here, because it was a dull day when I recorded this. So you can sharpen it. Even if you want, you can add a vignette around it as well. Yeah, so there's so many different things that you can do with here. So when you're happy enough with it, it's just a simple case of just clicking on the export button, saving it out. So you can set the resolution, you can set it to 4K, set it to 1080p. In this case, for this scenario, I'm just going to save it to 1080p because it'll render faster. As you see here, it gives you a duration of how long it'll take in the file size. So we'll just click on export. So there, it doesn't really take long at all. For the eagle-eyed viewers among you, I'm sure you'll share it in the comments, you'll have noticed that I used some subtle or different changes with regards to the final piece in the video itself compared to what I showed at the start of the video. And the reason why I did this is because I wanted to show you that there are different scenarios, that there are different ways to do things. You don't have to be confined to just what you see in a tutorial or on screen, that there are different variations, and that's the reason why I recorded multiple clips from different angles or different scenarios, the sky looking down or from the ground looking up, so that way then you can change and alternate between the two. The reality is you can be as creative as you want. There is no limits to your imagination. Just to show you that these techniques can be created using other devices or cameras, I also created similar outlays and similar scenarios using my Osmo Pocket 3 camera. So I created in both the normal and even vertical formats to use in mobile devices, so I can pop it up on social media at a later stage. So this just demonstrates that it can be used with any device that you have to hand, and really practice is key at this point. So hopefully if you've gotten this far in the video that you understand how simple it is to put these pieces together. It pretty much is like putting a jigsaw puzzle together in all regards. Like the editing, alongside of the camera movements and the setup, everything just takes time and just patience and practice. You will get better at this over time if you keep doing it, and it'll be a good way to train and create better habits with regards to your work ethic when you're going out on shoots in the future. So these steps here should help you with that. But if you'd like more help with some other tips and tricks of what else you can do with your cameras, then you can check out this next video right here.